Yeah, so the path is like where the stones are gonna come in. We have to respect that path. It's a sacred, and it's in the fire and the lodge itself. So when you cross it, you're not showing that respect, that reverence for the ceremony itself. So because something special is gonna happen, something spiritual in which, you know, the people here on Mother Earth, we're to commune with the Great Spirit, the Creator. So this is something that we have to honor that, and part of it is respecting the path. You like to add something to that, Roman, or
Huh?
you like to add something about the path?
Yeah, like what Louis touching on, we got that spirit path from wherever the line where it is. From we put the stones here today. Some people put them here in the center. Some people lay. It could be cedar, sage, tobacco. Traditionally, it's tobacco. We make prayers to the fire primarily with the tobacco. So when we create that path, it's connecting. In other words, there's a lot of people walking around right now and getting the fire ready and preparing for whatever ceremony it is that people are doing. So when everything is set, although we're in prayer from the beginning, when people are gathering the wood, the stones, everything that's being done here is part of the prayer, part of the ceremony. So when we officially open for whatever purpose it is, whether it's for somebody, the community, a healing, depending why you're doing it, why you're doing the ceremony, it always has a reason behind it. We don't just do it to do it. There's always something. Then we're going to officiate the ceremony and start it. The people are going to come in, and then we'll make that line. And that line, like as Louis was saying before, is not to be crossed because it connects the inside of the lodge. It's kind of like an umbilical cord. It connects what's happening in here to that fire, and it becomes one. Then we become one heart, one mind. So we're attaching the ceremony like an umbilical cord, like I was sharing earlier with you, to the mother. This lodge represents a female, represents the turtle, represents the womb. So we make that connection, and the only person that's really allowed to cross it or move around it is the firekeeper, because he needs to move around and keep that fire going and bring the stones in and out, because he's already connected. He's part of that line, or she. That person is part of that line. That person is connected with the firekeeper. So that's how the spirit line works. I've been doing this for probably about the last 20 years of my life, tending fires, The firekeeper, the person that tends to the fire, is an important person in the community because you have a relationship with that fire, you have respect, because the fire, for us, the fire relates to connecting us with the Great Spirit, with the sun. So it's very important that when you do this type of work, and it's a big commitment, You have to do it in the rain, the snow, and the ice. Whenever you're called as a firekeeper, if you take on this responsibility, which I always tell people, this is the first thing that is important to learn. The connection, how to work with the wind, working with the fires, working with air, and where to put that air. You can spark it up and have that fire work with you. So, a little smoky in here. That's the bark from the wood. It's good to use wood that, when it's dry, the bark kind of falls off. The bark makes a lot of smoke. So, anyway, the relationship with the fire is the first thing that people should do when they walk this way. You see, we're telling you the spirit path, the fire. It's all about the connection with the fire, and then the stones, and then the wood, and the ceremony.
What kind of prayers do you say?
Huh?
What kind of prayers do you say?
Well, I'm Taino, in the Caribbean, and you know, we pray in our language, our Taino language, and so the prayers that we're doing here is just a communication with whatever your higher power is, the Creator. So it's a way of, I guess, talking, asking for what you need. The kind of things that I like to pray about and talk about when I do these things are the teachings that I like to pass on: compassion, forgiveness, responsibility, accountability. So these are the things that I speak about. You know, having compassion for fellow human beings, other people, and for our Taino people, the connection with the fire, and the relationship with the fire, is always like that prayer. You know, making that constant prayer to be dependent for healing, for whatever's going on. So it's a prayer is not in a religious context, opening up a book and, you know, reading some words. It's praying from the heart, the mind, the heart, and making that connection. So for me, prayer is communication. You know, the Great Spirit. We gotta pass on whatever we learn, right? So I'm not gonna be able to be a firekeeper forever. I get older, I can't carry the rocks, I can't carry the wood. So you pass it on, and you look for people that have the patience, that are not wild, that have that serenity, because, you know, even though you see a fire roaring or whatever, it's important that it's tended, because fires are dangerous. We know they're dangerous. Right now we're in this wood structure. So how do you become a firekeeper is you're asked by the community. Maybe you find it in a dream or vision for yourself. Maybe you see it, somebody doing it, and have the calling to you, and then you ask people with tobacco, come with tobacco, and you ask them to teach you, to help you, to work with you. And then usually when people become firekeepers, you make a commitment. You say, you know, 4 years, you're gonna keep our fires for our ceremonies, wherever we go. So you'll be the firekeeper for our ceremony. You'll travel with us wherever we go. And you have one person designated, sometimes a group, maybe 2, 3, 4 people that work in teams, but you have your helpers, the core helpers, work with you and follow you and make that commitment. So for 4 years, they're gonna walk with you in a good way and learn about that fire. Then they can pass it on to somebody else and maybe do something else after 4 years. So a lot of these things that we do are, like I say, they're kind of like rites of passage in a way. So, for, again, I like to always travel it back to my Taino ancestors. A lot of these things that were done, we didn't have a written language, so it's all oral tradition. I guess what I'm sharing with you today is oral tradition. Going however you're going to use this, you know, in the media or whatever.
It's kind of like an apprenticeship, right?
Huh?
It's like kind of like an apprenticeship.
An apprenticeship? Yes, that's what it is. It's an apprenticeship. And some people would just be firekeepers for the rest of their lives because that's where they feel they belong. That's all they'll do. I know a firekeeper, for example, that he lives upstate, and this man, he's got to be in his 60s, you know, and he's a firekeeper, and I love when I see him because I love to learn from him. But he's out there, it could be February, blocks of ice, he's barefoot with just a pair of shorts, working that fire. That's that man's commitment. His relationship that he is not cold in February because You don't have to be in front of the fire, just because of the relationship you have with it. So, you know what I mean? So yeah, it is I guess like you said, it's an apprenticeship by helping. So I have some of these guys with me today. They're helping me out. I called out. I says, hey, Lewis asked me to do a fire. I need some helpers. Let's come forward. Yep.
Fire's going good?
It's going good.